Newstart. It's a beautiful day. We've got beautiful people. Let's go ahead and stand up and we'll sing a beautiful song. I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing but not alive. All my failures I tried to hide. It was my tomb till I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Now your mercy has saved my soul. How freedom is all I know. The only knew Jesus when I met you. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. I needed rescue, my sin is heavy. The chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan. Now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I am breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you call my name, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day.
There's honey in the rock, water in the stone, manna on the ground, no matter where I go. I don't need to worry now that I know everything I need you've got. There's honey in the rock. whatever you want to. I will make room for you to do whatever you want to do whatever you want to. Oh, here is where I lay it down. You are all I'm chasing now. This is my surrender. This is my surrender.
I'm going to ask Shelly to just keep playing that in the background as we go to the Lord in prayer for a second. I just want to encourage you to take a posture of prayer. If that's seated, if maybe that's kneeling at your seat right there. But in Psalms 145, it says, "The Lord is near to all who call upon him." And today I know that the words to that song spoke to me, that instead of a declaration, I heard it as a question in my life. Am I making room for Jesus in my life? Am I making room for you? And as I was singing and worshiping, I got checked on that. It's like, what does that look like in my life? I make room for a lot of things in my life. Am I making room? Am I clearing the things out in my life to actually make room for Jesus in my life? The best part is, like that verse says, is he will draw close. So today I'm just going to ask you to join me in prayer in your life and ask God to search you. Ask God to search our hearts, search our motives, and to understand where we need to be better, where we have been great, where we are loved, and that we have an understanding of who God is in a completely different role today than we maybe have understood. Maybe some of you are really struggling with things that are going on in your life. Maybe some of you are on the mountaintop. I invite you to pray that prayer today. Oh, dear Heavenly Father, I want those words of the song we just sang to ring true in my life, in my heart, in the heart of my family, that I will make room for you. I'll clear out the things that are taking time, the things in my schedule, the things that occupy my brain space, my patience, my finances. Dear God, I will clear all of those out and make room for you to do whatever you want to. You're a God who lives up to his promises. You're a God who cares about us and our situations. The things that oftentimes go unseen by the rest of the world, the anxieties that dance inside our minds when everyone else is asleep, dear God. The fears that play out poor situations in our future, the livelihood of our children, dear God. But today, as we sit here, I pray that your Holy Spirit would be a presence in this room, would be a presence on our life. That you would be able to come into our hearts and come into our lives and come into our minds and our anxieties and our fears. And do whatever you want to. You're God, dear God. You can do whatever you want to. But you have given us a free will to enter a relationship with you. For us to be a part of your plan in this world. To bring hope in the chaos. To bring light in the darkness. And I pray that today, as there are people all around this room who are going through all kinds of life situations, dear God, and those who are leading today in kids' church and in the nursery and on the stage, dear God, I just pray that we would be a church who puts you first. That when we fail, we come back to you, a God full of grace and mercy. And we wouldn't become too proud. To make room in our life for you to do what you want to. Do what you want to in our lives, dear God. Do what you want to in this church, in this community, in our world, dear God. And that only happens when your church willingly submits to your authority in our life. We love you, dear God. We want to hold you to your promises that you will do good in our life, that you will keep your promises because you are good. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. You may be seated. Well, good morning. How's everybody doing today? Oh, man. Man, this is why I live in Ohio. The 12 days a year we get with this kind of weather. Oh, it's beautiful. I love fall. And with fall comes a lot of awesome things. Some of you, your drink order changes at the coffee shop you go through. Some of you, your fall decor changes. It's right before the Christmas stuff comes out. But for some of us, we are just excited to be to experience new people that are coming into the life of the church. People are getting back into the swing of things now that school's been going for a little while. And every single week we have new people that are here among us who are excited to be here, who are visiting family, who are checking out new churches, who just moved to the area. And if you are new, welcome to Newstart. My name is Nate, and I'm glad that you're here. And there is a card in a seat right in front of you to where if you are new to Newstart, I would love for you to fill out that card if the greeting team didn't catch you on your way in, for us to just say thanks for being here with us today. We are a people that love God and want to do our best to bring his kingdom here on earth just as it is in heaven. And that happens through so many small individual conversations, and whether those happen at work or at school or in your homes or via text message or the group chat, however God is using us, we want to be obedient to what he is calling us to do. Amen? And one of the things that we love doing every year is having a family fall festival where we get to invite the community, where we get to love on the community as we put on an awesome time with inflatables and food and all pictures and all the fall fun festival things that everyone wants to do in Ohio. There will be pumpkins and all kinds of fun stuff that I want you to be able to go and invite your neighbors to. This is a great event to where if you've been working on somebody, even a little behind the scenes, a little covert operation of figuring out when is a good time to invite somebody to church, the answer is this week. The answer is this week. You need to be inviting people to the life of the church to experience God in a new way. Not so this church can grow, but because it is a good place to grow in the body of Christ. It is a good place to be surrounded by people who are like-minded, who have the same morals or values, the same things that God is calling us to live by. And people each and every single week are looking for that realness, for that hope in the message of Jesus Christ. And the Family Fall Festival might just be a way that you can invite somebody who you've been kind of iffy on inviting. I don't want to make it weird. Nobody likes to make it weird, all right? This is a non-weird way This is a non-weird event. It's a way that you don't have to make it weird to invite somebody to church. Sound good? Have them bring their kids, have them bring their family. It's going to be a great time. And if you open your app, if you have the Newstart app, you can download it on any of your app stores that you have. Just type in My Newstart. It's the very first card that comes up, to where not only can you find all of the information there, that it's on October 19th, which is a bye week for the Buckeyes, all right? Just so I know that that's already going on. You filter everything through the Buckeye schedule, right? Not only is it a bye week, but it's an awesome opportunity to serve our community. There's places where you can sign up to hand out candy, to decorate a trunk, to help with parking, to do all kinds of stuff. And Jessie Menendez and her team are going to be doing that over the next few weeks. So I would encourage you to invite people to sign up, to be here yourself, to serve, but most importantly, to be praying that the people who most need this would be in attendance, that you would be inviting people in your world and in your life and in your school and your neighbors to an event like this, so we can do our best to share the love of Jesus Christ with them in a non-threatening way. Sound good? So mark that in your calendar, October 19th. It's going to be a great time. I just want to take a minute and thank you guys so much for being faithful to what God has called you to in not just your generosity and in finances, but your generosity when it comes to meeting people. I saw several people who, as people were funneling in, you saw friends, you saw people, and you went over and made this a welcoming place. That we are a generous people who go out of our way to welcome people and engage and find seating for people. And if you see somebody whose kid is having a meltdown, that you don't judge them based on, oh my goodness, I remember that. But that you come alongside them and encourage them, maybe with a smile or a helping hand, or if somebody looks like they might need some help. I've seen it so many times these last few weeks. We love to be a generous people. And that is with our relationships, that is with our conversation, and it is with our finances. And I can't thank you enough because of what you give, because of what we give. Everything that happens in this church, we are able to use as an outreach to bring God's kingdom here on earth. So whether that's through online giving or digital giving, or if you text the number up front that's on that screen, you can do that as we use our finances to worship God, to reach people, to save marriages, to reach out to those who are searching and seeking something real. So thank you guys so much. And this week, you guys have probably seen a lot of the footage that has come out from the hurricane has struck the south. And this week, you will be receiving an email. One of the great things that our district has is we have a disaster relief team for the Nazarene Church. And within hours, they were mobilizing to figure out how the church can bless these communities that have been struck by this hurricane. And they've been at work for these last week and a half, figuring it out, what we can do to bless and benefit and bring teams together. So you're going to be receiving an email with a link to the Nazarene denomination, to where you can directly give financially, that you can sign up to be a part of a team, that you can donate generators or chainsaws, all of those kinds of things. It always makes me proud to be part of the Church of the Nazarene, a denomination that cares about what people are going through. And I know you guys' hearts are absolutely amazing when it comes to giving and missions work and taking care of people who are in need. So several of you have already reached out and said, what can we do? What is the church doing? So you'll be receiving that email this week, probably Monday or Tuesday. So make sure that you are if you're not receiving our emails, you can take that card out that I told you to sign. If you're new today, just jot your name down, write your email down, and you can drop it off at a box out here at this table, and we'll make sure that you're getting those emails. Sound good? Beautiful. Today we are going to be continuing our series in 1 John as we are kind of walking through this series, which is really fun because there's a lot of passages that get preached on a lot of times. And there's a lot of passages in the Bible that really don't get preached on. The United States of America briefly lost their mind for a 5-year period of time in 1995 over this thing right here. Beanie Babies. These are these slumpy, pellet-filled stuffed animals that retailed for about $5.99 at your local Cracker Barrel. They became a super hot collector's item, that skyrocketing prices and this outsized belief that the right shape of a stuffed animal in mint condition in the right color could one day pay for your all of your children's college education. Like, if you don't remember this, it was a craze. Like, there were news reports between 1995 and 2000 where police were trading Beanie Babies for guns in Illinois, right? They were trading these things. Nevada had a couple who had an actual custody battle over who got the collection of Beanie Babies during their divorce. People were smuggling Beanie Babies into the United States from Canada, all right? Like this smuggling ring that was going on just to get their hands on one of these stuffed animals. You see, what spurred this craze was the Thai company. They started making these beaded stuffed animals in 1993, but the craze didn't kick off until 1995. And it didn't kick off until 1995 because they had a lineup for 2 or 3 years of these animals, and they just continued to make them until their CEO got this idea. Ty Warner, he got this clever marketing strategy that took the Beanie Babies from the closet shelves to the bank vaults in a heartbeat. And what he decided to do was he decided to retire these creatures, these stuffed animals, say we will no longer be making this. So he would typically only make 30 to 40 of certain stuffed animals, and he would make them for a few months, and he would sell them to individual retailers, right, at a discounted price, and then the scarcity of them would go through the roof. The decision to start doing this created an artificial scarcity of what was going on, and that they couldn't get their hands on enough of them because one day that bear was going to be worth something. They did all kinds of public stunts, I'll call them. They were genius marketing strategies where they would honor certain things that were going on. Does anyone remember the bear that's up here? Princess Diana. Does anyone have this bear up here? It's probably in a Rubbermaid bucket in your basement right now. But they would honor, they would pay tribute, and this scarcity of the bear, of this scarcity of the first edition, really just blew the prices up. So these Beanie Babies made Ty Warner one of the 900 most richest people on the planet during this 5-year stretch, selling little stuffed animals that were designed to make kids feel comfortable. And us adults got a hold of them and said, no, this is going to pay for our tuition one day. This is going to pay for our house. This is my retirement. You see, there's probably a lot of us in this room who still have a few of these in mint conditions in an acrylic box somewhere stuffed away, just waiting for the nostalgic boom to come back, right? See, the craze ended in 2000 during the dot-com bubble, right? Whenever people started posting these all over the place. Some of these Princess Diana bears went for $500,000 on eBay. And then people started to really recognize that they weren't as rare as they thought they were. Everyone had them. A lot of people saved them. They understood that at the beginning this was supposed to be scarce, and so everyone saved them and collected them. I thought about these Beanie Babies when I got hit in the face on Tuesday with one, because my dog found it underneath one of my kids' beds and shook it because it thought it was a real animal, and it hit me in the side of the face, this iguana. And those little pellets hurt, I'm telling you. Those were a weapon of a toy. with this idea of scarcity, this idea of value. What has value? You see, there's some of you that probably still have these Beanie Babies in your room, or you're just waiting for that nostalgic era to pick back up to where these are going to go up in price again, right? Like it happened with Pokemon, right? Like the nostalgic age of those who were born in the 80s and 90s, and the digital Pokemon Go came back up and cards started to go through the roof again. This happens with comic books and trading cards and sports memorabilia. All of these things, as that nostalgia kind of ups the value of some of these things that we have in our life. You see, there's a lot of things that the world values that I don't value, all right? I was never a collector of these Beanie Babies. My mom really loved them. My sisters really loved them. I was just like, all right, they're fun to throw, right? They got some heft to them. You can launch them a good distance. I used to put them in slingshots and see how far we could get them to launch instead of water balloon launchers. It was pretty fun. But there's a lot of things that the world values that I don't value. There's also a lot of things that I value that the world doesn't value. This concept of value in our world, in our individual lives, is really something that nostalgic kick kind of gets us. There's some of you who might pay some good money for some of these bears because they bring back memories of you with your kids or hunting, the thrill of the chase, trying to find and track down that one thing. Or maybe it was a memory that was tied to it, something that it came out around. But since the beginning, there's a lot of things that the world values that Christ also values. Since the beginning, God created this world, and he created it in a beautiful way. He created us in his image, and there's a lot of the image that we have that bears that of Christ, that seeks out that beauty, that seeks out that value in the things of this world. But if there's a lot of things that this world holds that have the value of Jesus Christ, there's also things, because this world has fallen, that don't have that value. There's a lot of things in this world that Christ doesn't value. So in 1 John chapter 2, verses 15 through 17, John starts to talk to his readers about some of these things that Christ doesn't value that are running rampant in the world. This value that the world has placed something really high value that Christ does not value. And what, as believers, what we should do about that. And here's what it says in 1 John chapter 2, 15 through 17. It says, "Do not love the world, nor the things it offers you, nor the things in the world. For when you love the world, you do not have love for the Father in you. And this world is fading away, along with everything that people crave. But anyone who does what pleases God will live forever. For the world offers only craving for physical pleasure, a craving for everything we see, and pride in our achievements and possessions. These are not from the Father, but are from this world." You see, the main command that John is talking to us about in this passage is this: do not love the world. Do not love the world. This theme can be found in all of the writings of John, from the gospel to his letters, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John. It can be found all over the place in his writing. And he wanted his readers to know that they could be sure of the faith that they had in God. He wanted his readers to know that the faith that they possess, they could be sure, they could have a confidence, they could have an assurance that it was real, that it was valid, that it was original, that it was in mint condition, that it was of the highest value. But what he did is he continued to give tests that people could run on themselves for their faith to get that assurance. See, if you want to check the authenticity of your faith, here's the way that John tells us to do that. If we want to check the authenticity of, do we love the world or do we hate the world? Do we love the world, or have we allowed some of the world to creep into our lives? He offers a test to check that authenticity. He gives us 3 motivations to do that. He gives us 3 motivations to check the authenticity of our faith. And the first one is, if you love the world, then you don't love God. The second one is, if you love the world, you will perish with the world. And the third one is that if you love God instead of the world, you will live forever. John gives us that test we can run on ourselves, like BuzzFeed sends you the article and says, which Harry Potter house would you be living in, right? It takes your personality, it takes all of these things and says, hey, run this test on yourself and see which fall flavor you are this fall, all right? It's an idea that he gives his readers and says, run this test to see how you fare. If you want an authentic relationship with Jesus Christ, you can offer this test to see if you have it. You can have an assurance of what you're doing. See, in verse 15, John paints a picture that there can only be two reasons to love the world. And the first one is that you are really interested in the things of this world. And the second one is you are really uninterested in the things of God. Those are the only two options that John shares in this letter with his readers, that you either are really fascinated and infatuated with the things of this world because of the value that you see in them, because of the value that they have in you, the value that the world places on them, or you're just not interested in the things of God, the things that God asks you, and the things that God is interested in. For either of these reasons, John tells us that we are more in love with the world than the things in this world than with God the Father. If you're running this test and you start answering some of these questions, that's what his result is. You've had a result to where you were in love with the world more than you're in love with the things of Christ. John wasn't saying here, don't love Beanie Babies. John wasn't saying don't love Longenberger baskets. John wasn't saying don't love Pokemon cards. John wasn't talking about any of these things of the world that are just benign, that are just normal, that are just out there. That again, because we seek beauty, because we were created in the image of God, these are things that we search for. These are things that we see beauty and craftsmanship and nature and scarcity and all of these things. What he was asking is, do you love them? Are they taking a place in your life? The New Testament has three different ways that it uses the word world. The first one is the planet, this physical globe that we're on. The second one, it refers to humankind, right? The human world, the world that in John 3:16, for God so loved the world. And then the third one is sometimes referred to as human culture influenced by Satan, or our carnal nature. And that's what he's talking about here, this desire that we have to oppose God. In this situation, he's using the world is anything that stands in aggressive opposition to God. What are the things that stand in aggressive opposition to God? So when John says don't love the world or the things of the world, what the world can give you, he's talking about attitude and actions. See, John says two different things in this passage. He says the world, don't fall in love with the world or what the world has to offer you, the things of the world. So it's the world, this carnal nature that is here, which is attitude and actions, or the things of the world which stand in the way of God. And they might be bad things, and they might be neutral things, and they might be beautiful things, but these are things that are standing in the way of God and his love for you and your love for him, that obedience. See, it's a moral and spiritual system that draws people away from God. It's a seductive system that appeals to all people, believers and unbelievers, and calls for our affection, calls for our participation, our loyalty, both inwardly and outwardly. John's comparing the godly to everything else. God, good, world, bad. Because the world gets in the way of our hearts, of our relationship with God. We can easily allow it to get in the way. James says it. John's not the only one who says it. James 1:17 says, every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father in heavenly lights, who does not change like the shifting shadows. Or the fad of Beanie Babies or jorts or any fad that kind of comes up in your life and just continues to make a reappearance. And this is the thing that's here for a day and then it's gone tomorrow. The good and perfect things, those are the things that come from God. But the world, the values that the world places on things, man, that's like shifting sand. Have you ever found yourself on a different side of your For You page Whether it's TikTok with new trends or video topics or news feeds that constantly come in your way, where you're constantly find yourself scrolling or clicking on the next video, where you constantly find yourself making a new board or a next photo. Those algorithms are designed to keep us looking for something else, to keep us ready for the next thing, to keep us searching for more than what we already have. And while those things aren't inherently bad, because a lot of those things can be beautiful, can be things that God created, and admiring his beauty and admiring relationships and admiring all of these things, they keep us distracted long enough to make that the elevated value in our life. We begin to fall in love with the attitude or the actions of making our love for the world increase or our love for the things of God decrease. So how do we need to think about boundaries between good things from God and good things from the world and bad things of the world and the ugly things of the world? See, these two things operate in differing and opposing atmosphere. Romans 8, chapter 8, verse 5 says it this way: those who live in according to the flesh set their minds on the things of the flesh, but those who live in according to the Spirit set their minds on the things of the Spirit. Verse 6, for to set the mind on the flesh is death, but to set the mind on the Spirit is life and peace. See, Jesus didn't come to be an addition to our life, but to exchange it. Jesus didn't show up to be an addition to what we're doing, to just add a little something, to add a little flavor to our TikTok page, to add a little money to our portfolio. He didn't come to just add something to us. He came to completely exchange our life, the life of him for the life that the world offers you, the value that the world offers you. John tells his readers that not loving the world is a result of following God. Because we are hardwired to want to love something, to place value on something. It gives us a sense of who we are, of respect, of authority, of leadership, of value in our world. And whether that's from a young 8-year-old to an 88-year-old, there's something that we are seeking in our lives to be filled with. See, Jesus is saying, if you follow me, this is what your life will look like. You will hate the world and love the things that I have. Being in the world, but not of the world. It's the difference. It's the difference in being out in a boat among the water rather than have the water in the boat. All right. One of those is the wrong way. It's dangerous. All right. I've done enough canoe trips with teenagers that think, you know what, we could just have a pool inside our canoe. If we just splash enough water in the canoe, we can just swim while we're here in the canoe. And guess what? That might work for a few minutes until your boat starts to sink, and then you have to have an adult stop and try to help you drag that thing out of the bottom of the lake. It ends up being dangerous because the two things are supposed to be separate. The boat exists to keep the water outside. As believers, we are supposed to be in the world, but not of the world. We're not supposed to have the world fully within us. We're supposed to be set apart. So if we're taking that boat analogy, what are the warning signs that we have set up in our life when that boat starts taking on water? That you're out there, you're supposed to be out there. The boat's not supposed to be just on the boat rack on land. The boat is supposed to be out in the water. But are we taking warning signs of the things in this world? Because anything can rob our hearts of love for God. Whenever Kristen and I were getting ready to get married, we did premarital counseling, and I had the chaplain at the university. We did our premarital counseling with him, and again, I was a pastor's kid. I grew up around the church. I've been a Christian for a long time, and so is Kristen. And man, we were excited to start our journey of marriage together. And while we were doing our premarital counseling, my buddy named Scott, he set us down and he asked us all the questions, and he asked us one question, and I kind of panicked a little bit. He said, so I'm just curious, what are the red flags in your relationship? And I stopped immediately. I was like, what do you mean red flags? We're both from good families. Like we both love each other. There's no red flags in our relationship. And I felt pretty good about that answer for about 8 seconds, and then he just laughed. I've never been in a counseling appointment where somebody just laughed at me, like it's like, wow, that was cute. You're dumb, That was the vibe I was getting. He laughed at me and he just said, anything, no matter how good, always has the potential to distract you from the love that you have for one another. It doesn't have to be all of these negative things. A lot of times we sit there and think of the worldly things like, well, I don't have all of that baggage. I don't have all of those negativities. I don't have all of that upbringing that I'm carrying into the relationship. And a lot of times I'll read a passage like this and say, well, yeah, those things of the world, murder and, child sacrifice back in the Old Testament. And like those things aren't what I don't love that stuff. I don't love the world. But it's not just the ugly and nasty and profane things of the world that is a fallen world that can get in the way of your relationship of loving God. Just like it's not only the childhood trauma that can get in the way of those red flags of your relationships. He looked at me in that premarital counseling, and I'll never forget this. He said, the difference in a healthy relationship and an unhealthy relationship isn't the amount of red flags, it's what you do with the red flags. It's knowing that, hey, this is an area that I am likely being out in the water, being in this relationship, being around this is an area that I have a tendency to put more value on the things that somebody else says. On the fact that my in-laws do or don't agree with me, on the fact that I'm an extrovert and she's an introvert. There are things that are red flags in your life, and the goal of those red flags isn't to completely avoid them. The goal of the things of this world isn't to completely avoid them. The goal is, what are you doing? Are you running a check to see if those things are taking over? Are you starting to love those things more than you're loving the person of Jesus Christ? The goal isn't to ignore them. It's to recognize and place appropriate boundaries around them. What systems and protocols do you have set up for loving nature, for loving community, for being an extrovert, for being an introvert, for loving reading, for relationships, for your coworkers? What are those protocols that you're putting in place whenever you know that you enjoy something? Are you allowing that thing to take over your love for Jesus Christ in your heart? See, the world's the same way, based upon your life and your situation and your personality and your past and your history. What areas are you more vulnerable to the attitudes and actions of the world? It'd be really easy to talk about all the negative things, but forget about family. And forget about placing boundaries around your hobbies or Beanie Babies or sports cards or sports or leadership or confidence, or moxie, or your health and fitness, and your vitality, and your future, and your children. It's not just the negative things of the world, it's the things that replace Christ as your number one. See, all of these things produce a confidence in our life that fill the gap that is missing in our life. This economy of confidence, this assurance of what we seek, that if we do this, if we are outside more, if we spend more time with the things that we love of this world, then we're going to be a better person. The first two, he gives three examples in the book or in the passage that we read. He gives three examples, and the first two are desire for what you don't have, craving for physical pleasure, and a craving for everything that we see. And one of them is physical, the other is intellectual. One of them is something that is tangible, the other is something that we can imagine. What are the things in your life that you don't have that you say, oh man, if I just had this would make my life better. If I just had another zero on the end of the paycheck. If I just had the teacher that I didn't get. If I just had, this would make better. It's something that I don't have that I'm longing for, that I elevate in value. The second one that he talks about is pride in what you do have. He says, and the pride in our achievements and possessions. Well, it's because I'm this kind of a person. It's because I have this job. It's because this is what I've built that I'm going to place that economy of confidence. I'm going to place all of that into this worldview, and it's going to give me value, and it's going to elevate the things of this world over the things of God. And I'm going to love the things of this world, even the good things, even the things that aren't bad, even the things that aren't profane and evil. I'm going to love those things and elevate those above God. Why? Because these things fade away. Just like the Beanie Babies. The value is going to go up and down and up and down. And different things are going to come along. Those of you who have been alive or right around 40 years or more, you've probably seen trends that have come back around. You're like, man, I hope that died a long time. When it died, I threw a celebration, right? You know, like when the flare pants went out, right? You know, I was like, praise the Lord Jesus, right? You know, he is alive, all right? All of these hobbies, all of these emotions, all of these things that kind of come in and out. The world is that shifting sand, and if we place value in the things of the world, those will fade away, and that will eat away at our confidence, and we will start living in the economy of the world. See, the lust of the flesh is the desire to do something apart from the will of God. It includes all corrupt bodily desires and every sinful appetite and activity that appeals to the hearts of a sinful people, of a fallen and broken people. The lust of the eyes, the things that our minds can see, that intellectual side. It pulls us apart from the things that God is wanting us to think on, the things that are good and pure and noble and praiseworthy. Think on these things. It falls under that category. And then the pride of life, the desire to be something apart from the will of God. That the thing that you have built or created is now elevated above the thing that God created you to be. Each of these desires that start with the heart of confidence and assurance of being valued means that you are loving a worldly system or turning your back on a godly relationship. See, the problem with finding confidence in the world is that it is constantly shifting values. What used to be a bear that went for $500,000 on eBay, your dog's chewing up in the corner now because the value that the world has placed on that thing is no longer there. It has changed. You know what the craziest part of that Beanie Baby craze was? Like, these were toys designed for a child to be in a relationship, to comfort a small child, and we turned them into this currency. We have a really good habit on this planet of switching those two things up. You see, we live on a planet that loves things and uses people. And the example that Jesus set for us was he used things to love people. But John's got some good news for you. John's got some good news for us in this passage. You see, for those who love the world, what he's saying is, if you love the world, you might be really good at loving the world. The value that you have at the right time in the right place might go up. But he says the closest you'll ever get to heaven is this world. If you love the things of this world, the closest you'll ever get to heaven is this world. But for those who love God, this world will be the closest you get to hell. And the things that we go through in our life, expanded out for eternity, this will be the worst that it is because we have a kingdom mindset. We get caught up in the economy of scarcity, whether it's real or fake, whether it's artificial or actual. We get caught up in this economy of scarcity of the pleasures that we want in our life or the things that we might miss out on. That this world and everything in it crave and are fading away. But anyone who does what God pleases will live forever. Anyone who keeps God's heart at the center of their will live forever. See, if we are unable to recognize as believers what we are vulnerable to in the schemes of this world, then we will be ill-equipped to face them. John compares the relationship with a personal God to the assurance of an impersonal and inconsistent shifting system. It's just what we did with the Beanie Babies. We have a habit of taking something personal and making it impersonal. Taking the good things that God has given us in this world and making it not about the Creator, but about the creation. Not about who gave it to us and what it was designed for, but about what I can get out of it. See, a godly heart allows God as the first love in your life. So when John is talking to his audience, those who are reading his book, he's like, listen, don't fall in love with the world. Have God as the first love in your life. Don't let the things of this world, the accolades, the values, the things that the world places as good things, don't let that distract you from the goodness of Jesus Christ in your life. I'm going to have the band go ahead and come up. And I love this idea because so often in my life, I get caught up in the things of this world and don't even recognize it. And don't put systems in place and checks and balances to do this. But John understood that anything in this world can rob someone's heart from the love for God. That when we do not love the world, our confidence in God increases. We can have assurance of your salvation when we love God more than anything else. So John, right before he shares this, right before, starting in verse 12, he writes this, and I'm gonna read it because he starts reminding the people who are reading this. He starts reminding the believers of a few things. He says this, I am writing to you who are children of God. And I can just imagine a coach, an inspirational message right before they read this. It's like you do not have to be trapped by what the world has to offer you, because I am writing to you who are God's children because your sins have been forgiven through Jesus Christ. I am writing to you who are mature in your faith because you know Christ who existed from the beginning. Guys, I'm writing to you because you are young in your faith, because you have won your battles against the evil one. It's an inspirational message. You have done it. God loves you. You have been there. You know who you are, whose you are, and what God has done in you. Guys, this is why we don't have to be slaves to what the world offers. This is why we don't have to put our value in what the world places value in. This is why it doesn't matter what Beanie Babies trend up and down. It doesn't matter what's going on in this world, the shifting sands of this world. Our confidence is found in Jesus Christ, not in the values of this world. So let's make our heart long for the things of God. Let's make our heart long for the things of His Word and not get caught up in all of the things that drag us down. Sound good? Let's stand and worship today.
One thing, the same God that never fails will not fail me now. You won't fail me now in the waiting. The same God who's never late is working all things out. You're working all things out. Yes, I will lift you high.
Oh, man, what a beautiful message and a challenge for us this morning in loving God. And I just was so soaking up the worship team this morning. You guys singing beautiful. So good to have you here today. I encourage you to invite someone back with you next week. Don't make a decision for the people you interact with during the week without ever asking them. Don't make a decision that they aren't ready to experience a worship gathering. Don't make that decision for them. Give them the opportunity to make that decision and invite someone that God has put in your path this week. Invite them to our service next week, and you'll want to be a part of it. We're going to 1 John chapter 3, verses 1 through 10, and I am so excited to be teaching on these 10 verses next week because we're going to get into something on sin that is going to help us out so much. Any of you have a Catholic background? Let me see your hands. Just anywhere in your past or life, okay, all over the room. It's normally about a third of the room. And many have an unchurched background or a Calvinist background or an Arminian background. You may not necessarily even know that. It matters so much in our understanding of sin. We're going to break it down for our lives, and it's going to be powerful. And then the week after that, Joe Knight's preaching for us. And so you definitely want to be a part of that. So many great things going on. Our prayer team is available this morning to anoint you with oil, to pray for your healing, to encourage you, to bless you, to hear from you. I'm going to remain up here to pray with people and encourage you also. God bless you. You're dismissed. Invite someone with you next week.